Really did enjoy the new video to Charmer too.
Oh, thank you.
So you've got this whole robot thing going on. At this point, in the theme of the video, and it fits the theme of the song with Charmer and everything, but is it a hassle to go out? Is it a hassle? Because you have been doing this now for a few decades,
Yes.
so you definitely know the route. You know the game, and it's just like, every 2 years or whatever it is, here you're back on the trail. So it almost seems like, Bob Dylan can't get off tour. He just can't. He can't sit still. He's
addicted to it. It's different for me for sure. I think at this point, over time, you just have to figure out what works for you and what doesn't work for you. When I was part of the sort of major label system, obviously they just want you to get out and flog the record as long as possible with no interruptions and do every single thing that comes down the pike. And I finally start, like when I started my own label and got off that system and realized I could tour in a way that made sense for me. And I like to, I kind of need a break after 3 weeks because tour time doesn't feel like real time. A week feels like a month. It's, because you're essentially working around the clock. It's not just playing for 1 hour. It's all the, it's all the stuff that goes up to it. The travel, enormous amounts of traveling, obviously, and disruptions and it can be an adjustment for some people. I'm a little more of a hothouse flower than other musicians. So I just have to be careful.
Right.
So I know how to structure a tour and in a way that makes it as workable as possible. And I think not having the pressure of a label constantly pressuring you to do stuff is very helpful.
Right.
And, I tell my manager, look, you can't do everything. There's, some stuff, it's great you're in town, there's press to do, you can go to a radio station and play. But, if you're playing a show, you gotta pick your job. You can't do,
sure.
You can't do 3 different jobs in a day because they're going to suffer.
You've talked about acting and what you have to take on to be in a movie or a TV show or whatever it is, but there is that other persona which also gets is also hit on in this video. But the other persona of being on stage, of being Aimee Mann, the musician, the public figure, how different is it?
Well, it's not super different, but when people are looking at you in regarding you in a certain way, it definitely affects you. It's a little strange, and then you do start to feel that you as Joe Henry said, you don't want to walk past that and set fire to it in some way. So and that does put you in a kind of a strange mindset to then sort of worry about how you are coming across. If you're leaving, after a show and you're leaving the building and you're super tired, but there are people who want to, stay and talk to you and have stuff signed. And, you don't want to come across in a certain way. But, so even that sort of very small, small example, you don't want people to think badly of you, or you don't want people to feel bad. You don't want to hurt people's feelings. But at the same time, you might be like, I'm exhausted. And if I don't get to bed, I don't know if I'm going to be able to play the show the next day.
Right.
So, it's weird to weigh these things. It's
an odd life.
It's
a very different life.
It is. It's
Plumbers don't
weird.
have this life.
It's weird, and it's easy to get caught up in, once you realize people regard you in a certain way, then you feel like you do have to develop a bit of a persona just to have as an inner, just to protect your privacy, really. To protect yourself. But then it's a short walk to being a big, being a big constructed personality that's a huge phony.
Right.
So, you don't want to go there. So you do walk a very weird line sometimes.
Yeah. At this point, you've done a few records that are themed. More or less. Is that something you actually look for now? Do you have to theme a record to make a record? Are you able just to sit down and suddenly you've said, "Oh my, I've written 12 songs. I might as well record these and make an album"?
It's I think I wouldn't mind having themed records because for me, having a structure is almost more creatively freeing than, hey, here's your blank page, do whatever you want. In the case of this record, it's just that I happened to sort of be thinking about the same thing, and it would crop up in different ways.
Yeah.
And not every song is, it's the record's called Charmer, and there are several songs that kind of explore the idea of charm and charming people and narcissism and kind of what that means and how I interact with people I know who are like that. But not every song is about that. So it's semi-themed.
Yeah. And the other thing, just seeing you, album by album by album, throughout everything, is that you haven't fallen to, in some of the pits that so many other musicians do, where I don't know what it is. As you get older as a musician, by the way, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah, happy birthday. But as you get older, it just seems, as musicians get older, where does the fire go? Why does the fire go out? Why were they such an electric songwriter in their youth? But as they reach middle age or middle career or anything, and it just becomes bland, and they start falling back on the blues in such a bad way, and right. But you haven't, and here you are. We're talking about being creative and being in thematic. And just going for different sounds. I mean, you were talking about that in our previous interview, too, about, just when someone says, make it sound different, and you're trying to figure out how to do that and everything, which, all that aside, you're actually thinking about it, and you're actually trying, and it's not just falling back. Why? And this is maybe not even an answerable question, but why are you able to do that? Why haven't you fallen into those traps that all of those other musicians have?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for saying that, and I hope you're not just being flattering. I mean, that's what every what any songwriter I think wants to hear, that they're getting better. I mean, I feel like I'm getting better sort of based on my own standards of what better is, which is for me I really like the craft of songwriting. I try, there's certain things about lyric writing that I think I've gotten better at, but those are to a certain standard. So like, maybe other people don't have those standards and wouldn't read it as better necessarily. And if you stay interested and if you are connected emotionally to what you're doing, hopefully things, hopefully things do get better. But I think also some of that is like a matter of perception, because, if somebody's really young and they're writing what feel like heartfelt songs with a certain amount of skill, and interest, it's just more, because it's almost like more fascinating because it's so unlikely. Being really good and insightful and understanding and having better craftsmanship, is something that just comes with age and experience. And so when you see, it's like somebody like Fiona Apple, who at 17 was writing really unbelievably great lyrics and like deep, deeply insightful, interesting imagery, just so completely mature that it was almost spooky.
Right.
And so like there is like that thing of like, what is going on? Like there's a huge mystery to it, because it doesn't make sense.
Right.
And then that same song and a 35-year-old or a 45-year-old might just be like, oh, this is pretty good.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know, like maybe it's a matter of perception. I'm not sure.
Hopefully it's not just that. Hopefully a song is a good song is a good song.
I hope so.
Like I have faith in that, that a good song is a good song.
I would like to have faith in that.
Well, there's plenty of bad songs out there. Don't get me wrong. We're not talking about this. You've written plenty of great songs. Thank you so much, Charmer.
Thank you.
I've heard about half of it so far, and it's a great record. I'm looking forward to hearing the other half and everything that's yet to come.
That second half is pretty great.
Even better than the first.
Can't believe I'm selling myself. Come on, man. Listen to the second half. You won't be sorry.
All right, Aimee Mann, thank you very much.
Thank you.